Welcome to World Really Works. I'm Daniel Wright. The 10th of August, 2019. Inside a federal jail in Lower Manhattan, a man awaiting trial was found dead in his cell. The official ruling came quickly: suicide by hanging. On paper, the case was closed. But something unusual happened. When most criminal cases end, the public exhales. This time, the questions only multiplied because the man who died was Jeffrey Epstein, a financier with connections across politics, business, academia, a defendant who was weeks away from facing federal sex trafficking charges in open court. There would be no testimony, no cross-examination, no public reckoning. When he died, what disappeared wasn't just a life. It was a trial that had barely begun. To understand why that night still resonates, we have to rewind. 2005, Palm Beach, Florida. A mother reports that her 14-year-old daughter had visited a wealthy man's mansion and returned disturbed. Police begin looking into it. They soon discover it wasn't an isolated incident. Multiple underage girls, a recurring pattern, payments, recruiters. Under federal standards, the case could have led to serious felony charges. But 3 years later, it ended in a way that stunned legal observers. In 2008, federal prosecutors entered into a non-prosecution agreement with Epstein, the U.S. attorney at the time, Alexander Acosta. The terms were extraordinary. No federal charges, immunity for unnamed co-conspirators, a 13-month county jail sentence, and even that sentence allowed him to leave jail during the day to work from his office, returning at night to critics. It looked less like punishment and more like accommodation. After serving his time, Epstein returned to elite social circles. He continued donating money. Even after his conviction, institutions such as Harvard University maintained financial ties. The question lingered: how does someone convicted of crimes involving minors regain access to powerful networks so quickly? Was it influence? Was it indifference? Was it something else? For nearly a decade, the case faded from national attention until 2018, Miami. Investigative journalist Julie K. Brown obtained internal documents tied to the 2008 plea deal. What she uncovered was alarming. The victims had never been informed of the agreement, a potential violation of federal law. Her reporting reignited the story. She spoke to victims, reviewed court filings, pieced together records that had been buried for years. Her work reframed the case as something larger than a single defendant. It suggested a system that had failed or protected him. In July 2019, federal authorities arrested Epstein again, this time in New York. This time, the charges were federal and severe. It appeared the trial would finally proceed. Then came August. Metropolitan Correctional Center, Manhattan. Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell. The New York Medical Examiner ruled it a suicide, but controversy followed, in part because of Dr. Michael Baden, a forensic pathologist observing the autopsy on behalf of Epstein's family. Baden raised three concerns. First, fractures in the hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage. Such fractures can occur in suicides, particularly in older individuals, but Baden noted they are more commonly associated with homicidal strangulation. He did not declare it a homicide. He said the findings warranted further scrutiny. Second, surveillance failures. Some cameras were reportedly malfunctioning. Guards failed to conduct regular checks. His cellmate had been transferred individually. These could be procedural lapses together. They fueled suspicion. Third, 2 weeks earlier, Epstein had been placed on suicide watch after an apparent incident. He was later removed from that status. Whether that decision followed proper protocol became another point of debate. The official position remained firm. The New York City medical examiner reaffirmed suicide. A Department of Justice Inspector General report later concluded there was no evidence of homicide, but it did detail serious negligence inside the facility. 2 guards were charged for falsifying records. The case was eventually dismissed under a deferred prosecution agreement. Epstein's death closed the criminal case against him, but it did not close public doubt. In the months that followed, thousands of pages of court documents were released. Many powerful individuals distanced themselves. Few faced criminal consequences directly tied to Epstein. From one perspective, the network survived. His longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of British media tycoon Robert Maxwell, was later convicted in 2022 and sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for her role in recruiting and grooming minors. A victim compensation fund distributed over $100 million. Epstein's private island, Little St. James in the U.S. Virgin Islands, was sold. Yet the larger questions remain. Why was the 2008 agreement structured the way it was? How did oversight fail inside a federal jail? And why did the most anticipated trial of the decade never happen? Epstein evaded a full public reckoning twice. When a trial never occurs, facts never face cross-examination, and when cross-examination never happens, doubt persists. That is not conspiracy. That is the consequence of absence. This is not about speculation. It is about institutional failure, unanswered questions, and the limits of accountability. This is World Really Works.